3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Buckhouse Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Benjamin Buckhouse, alongside Johnathan Buckhouse right over here. We are two brothers that love to get together once a week, talk about our interests, talk about our hobbies, talk about what we're doing in life together. Johnathan is a snowboarding YouTuber, and I am a streamer, video game YouTuber as well. With that being said, this is episode 33. This is going to be a big one for a lot of reasons. 33! One of the big reasons is Johnathan just got back from a crazy trip in Finland, and I want to hear all about this, bro. Let's jump straight into your Finland trip.
Before we get into Finland, the reason why episode 33 is so special to me is in high school, we were huge Halo 2 fans. And in Halo 2, unless you cheated, it was very hard to level up. And so me and my older brother were in the 40 range of Halo ranks in Halo 2, which is very impressive without cheating. And we had a friend who got into Halo after moving, like a high school friend. He came to our school after moving from a different state, whatever, and we got him into Halo, and he started getting decent at it, and he got to level 33, which was that's when you started getting pretty good at Halo. And he would walk around school and go, 33, 33, just cheer it. And it was like the funniest thing. So now every time I hear the number 33, I think of Nick Mitchell and him getting to level 33 in Halo.
I actually don't think I knew that story. And what's crazy is I've hung out with Nick so much in my life. I've played so much video games with Nick, and I don't think I've ever heard that story, but dang, okay. 33! I honestly thought you were going to go like football side with that. Like I thought you were going to talk about football numbers or something along those lines.
No, but Halo numbers, Halo 2. The ranks that mattered. Because dude, I never got a 50 in Halo 2 because of the cheating. And then Halo 3 came out, and I got 50s in every single game type. So, little video game stuff for you to start off this episode. But Finland, I got to go not only to Finland, but also to England. And that was a wild experience overall. Little backstory is Cardo, I'm holding the box up right now for all the listeners, is a new sponsor of my channel. And I'm really excited for it. It's a mesh network communication system, meaning that you and other riders get this little device, you put on your helmets, and you can have instant communication between each other, which is super rad. So when I take Roman out, I can talk to him, and if he's 50 yards away from me, he'll still be able to hear me. So this device is really rad for teaching little ones, riding with your girlfriend, things like that. So they sponsor the channel, but they were like, hey, we're also going to do this event, and we want all of our influencers, riders, anyone that rides for Cardo to come out to this event in Finland. I was like, absolutely, I'll be there. So they flew me out, and they covered everything, and it was fancy. We were in Finland for 5 days. So for the 5 days, I didn't order a single meal. The meals were just given to me because it was fancy dinners that were curated and all this type of stuff. And up in Finland is where a bunch of reindeers are. So I ate a lot of reindeer. Don't tell the kids. And we did a bunch of wild activities as well, like river floating, which in my Colorado brain, I thought that's we're going rafting, sick. But no, we put these scuba diver suits on, and we went and just laid in a river and floated down it. It was wild. And we did reindeer petting as well as reindeer eating. And then we also did snow biking, which I was oh yeah, we're going to go down the mountain on snow bikes. Nope. We biked in the snow through the mountains of Finland, which was cool. Sadly, we did a lot of things. This is the hard thing with a trip like this, is there was a lot of activities that were throughout the day, but it'd be okay, we're going to go ride for 2.5 hours, and then we got lunch, and then we're going to go do river floating, and then we're going to go back and ride, and then there's 3 times. There's so much that was going on in the day that it wasn't I'm going to go snowboard for 4 hours. And does that make sense?
It was less of a snowboard trip as it was a tourist trip. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was like very like, yeah, it was very like touristy, very get to know the Cardo owners and team, but like not so much like go shredding, snowboarding. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. But I didn't I must have missed a lot of that. I saw the reindeer stuff where you like were trying to put one of their antlers back on, but
That dude's antler literally fell off while we were there.
it's just like you were hanging out and all of a sudden like you saw the antler fall off.
Yeah, he like hit another reindeer with his antler and then it fell off.
That's insane.
The most insane thing is I did that video joke where I picked it up and I was like, "Here you go, buddy, you dropped this." And then the dude, because it was like a reindeer farm, the dude walks over, grabs his other one, and just pulls it and rips it off. And then that dude had no antlers.
I'm sure that's better for them, but like, what? That's crazy.
Yeah, and I learned a lot about reindeers, but apparently male reindeers lose their antlers every winter. Like after mating season, they don't have no need for them, so they fall off and then they regrow, or they start the process of regrowing.
I'm sure that somebody can confirm in the comments, and please join the comments or the conversation down below. We would love to hear from you guys. But I'm pretty sure the same thing goes for like elk out here in Colorado, because I had a friend in high school that was really big into hunting, and they would look for sheds. I believe that's what they called them, and it's essentially like the antlers off of elk and things along those lines. And I'm pretty sure that they shed them off every year. And it's something crazy, like it's the fastest growing bone or whatever like of an animal is those antlers for elk and reindeer and stuff, and they shed every year.
The crazy thing about the reindeer's antler is it grows with like fur on it, and then when the fur starts to peel off, it literally bleeds. So the antler is bleeding. So there was this like white reindeer out there that was just covered in blood because the fur was peeling off his antlers and blood was just like dripping. He looked disgusting.
That sounds like a horror story. Like that doesn't sound like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer that I know about. That sounds
his nose was red because it was covered in blood. I was like, oh, that's kind of gross. But no, the experience was rad, and the thing that was really cool was I didn't really know what I was getting into. I didn't know a single person on this trip when I went. And I was there as a snowboarder / content creator, but they also had some just content creators come, which was cool because I got to like learn a ton about social media and the way other influencers run their business, where they get their money from, what they're looking for, what they look for with engagement, and like just kind of got to go more like in depth with like influencing and learn more about influencing, and not just like, oh, let's shred, let's talk snowboarding. Everything's about skiing and snowboarding. So that was really cool and unique.
Did you know anybody? I remember you talking about that on our last podcast where you're like, I might know some people when I go out there. I don't know who's going, but like I might know some people. Like, did you recognize anybody?
No, I only knew one person. I knew of one person, which was Damien Nichols, which is a Olympian snowboarder, and I got to like film content and work with him for Cardo, and that was it. It was wild.
That is cool. I really want to make this happen. I don't remember if we talked about it on the podcast or if we talked about it another time, but we've talked about you and I doing like a snowboard thing again, whether it's just like me go up to Colorado, like Colorado mountains, right? And go snowboarding with you, or like take a trip to like Washington like we did or whatever. But anyways, I would love to do like another trip with you, bro. Another like a little event with you. And I'm really curious about these Cardo stuff, because one thing that I take pride in for us was our like unspoken communication that we had, just because number one, we're brothers, but also oddly enough, the amount of video games that we've played together, I do believe helps us in like understanding the way that we think, because like that's part of your job as a teammate, is to know your teammates and how they think. And so when we would be snowboarding, like I wouldn't like filming you, there wouldn't be communication, but I'm like, okay, he's about to go do this. And so I like just follow you or whatever. But having the cardo, like you could literally tell me like, hey bro, I'm going to go do this real fast. Like follow me or whatever. And like, I could hear you and understand. Like, I'm curious to see that thing. I want to check it out.
No, totally. And then even like if you come ride with me and Roman, we throw one on you. I have 4 of them now. So definitely can hook you up with one. And then, yeah, it's just like being able to talk and also just like as a dad to listen to Roman like singing on the mountain or like his like he'll talk to himself about his turns or things. And it's so adorable to hear it real time.
That is so cool. I want to go snowboarding with Roman so bad, especially because like he snowboards. Like I want to go snowboarding with him so bad.
Yeah, he's like ripping now, which is a ton of fun. The thing that worked out great with this Finland trip and it being more influency was the snow conditions were really bad. And I'm not saying like, oh, there like wasn't much terrain open. Like, no, 2 of the 3 days of riding, the snow was bulletproof ice, like super sketchy, like couldn't set an edge type conditions, which is kind of a mega bummer. And so I'll see what I gotta start going through the content. I have so much content now. And I made a whole trip overview, which might be the best video of the 4 that I made. And I might not, how do I say this? Depending on how good the first video is for the vlog, I might only make one vlog, snowboard vlog of Finland since I've cut down my content, and then post the full trip video and then put the other days of riding mixed in because they weren't big riding days, and then throw in like not great conditions. Like it'd be like 3 subpar videos in a row, and I don't want to do that.
No, that makes sense. I do want to ask, how were these other influencers associated with cardo? As in, I understand how you are and the Olympian with the snowboarding because it goes on your helmet and that's like the main advertisement I see for it. How are these other people like sponsored by them? Like how are they using these the cardos? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think it's just like, well, one of the dudes was like a skydiver, so they had it advertised with skydiving through him. And then the other influencers, like they did, like everyone did ski and snowboard, and they had bigger. I mean, they're all like with like the 100 to like 300,000. No one was there with like millions of followers, if that makes sense. And so I guess they were ski and snowboard, had ski and snowboard orientations. And I think the plan is to like have ads with skiing and snowboarding, even though that skiing and snowboarding is not their main focus of content, if that makes sense.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I kind of skipped over your content creation subject, but no, I saw some of the icy conditions from your videos. It looked tough. Like it looked tough. I don't blame you for that. I'm curious to see, like, I want to see this river floating and also just how beautiful.
That was the only.
Go ahead.
The river floating was the only thing I didn't bring my camera to film because I thought it was rafting. I thought I'd have a paddle in my hand. So I was like, oh, just like, this is, wouldn't need it. And then I ended up being like one of those things where I was like, man, I really wish I had my camera for this one. So, but then at the same time, it was cool to do an activity, just do an activity and not bring cameras and be an influencer and stuff like that. But that being said, the other influencers brought it. So I'll be able to get footage for that section in my video. And then Finland, the cool thing with Finland is the sun doesn't go high because you're so far north. So it was like the sun would, this amazing sunrise, like beautiful sunrise that was like sunrise till sunset. And there wasn't like, if that makes sense, like the sun never went high enough. So there was like maybe like an hour or two of the day where it was like semi-high, didn't feel like a sunrise, didn't feel like a sunset. but then the whole rest of the day is like sunrise, sunset. And so I got a lot of like dreamy lifestyle shots of like looking over crazy sunsets, and they had this like crazy ski jump drop in and things like that. So that's all cool.
The Northern Lights.
That's
what I.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, I saw the Northern Lights, which they're not as green in real life as they are on camera.
Okay, I could see that.
So, because the cameras can capture more light than the eye can, so you can see them for sure, and it's different color than the sky. And maybe if you're more north, you can get crazier, because like we got, as cool as the photos of the Northern Lights that I got, you know, obviously you can get closer, or if you're in a more like less light polluted area, you can get the crazier colors like the reds and the purples and all the other ones. But it was still really rad. I got some selfies with the Northern Lights. I'm hyped on all of that.
The pictures that you dropped for us in our family group chat were crazy. Like, they were just crazy to see. It was literally just Johnathan taking. I'm gonna have them on the screen for you guys. It was just Johnathan taking selfies with these bright green ribbons in the sky. It was so cool, and I've never experienced anything like that. So that was really cool to see.
It moves so fast.
Really?
Yeah, it moves crazy fast. That was like one of the things that shocked me the most.
I wouldn't have expected that at all. I kind of would have expected it to almost not move at all, almost like a cloud. Clouds do move, but you know, like I would have expected it to be kind of like just there.
No, it was
I don't
almost
even
like
know what it is, to be honest.
I don't know what it is, but it was very like a gas.
Okay, so it's just like free floating in the sky like a gas. Okay, I could see that.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, it moved really fast. The other thing that was interesting is none of the Americans drank alcohol, which is very not American. And then our room came with a free beer, or like a Finland lager, like brewed in Finland beer. And so I was like, in the group chat, I was like, I volunteer to grab all your guys' beers. And because these were like super fancy dinners, I was drinking like really fancy, nice drinks. And I'd go back to my room, which had its own sauna. So then I would sauna with a beer in my own room. And then I'd call the kids and Bobby, and we'd hang out, and then I'd get some work done. And it was a rad experience, for sure.
Dang, so you're getting crunk on this vacation, bro.
All by myself. I got crunk all by myself in the sauna. When I travel, I don't sleep. Like at least a trip like this on purpose. So like I'd go to bed at 2 a.m. and wake up at 8. So I was getting like 6 hours of sleep, which is totally like enough for me to function at a high level still on an experience like that. But like I wanted to like live the whole day and like do all the activities, everything like that. But also like there's moments where I'd like hang out or talk with people later in the day, or I'd go look at the Northern Lights and all that type of stuff. And then I'd get to the hotel room around like 10, 11, and then I would get all my work done till 2 a.m., like posting my shorts or long form, things like that. So I think but a lot of people would like go to bed early, or like, I'm so tired, I'm gonna go take a nap. And I'm like, what are you, like, you're in Finland. Like, you're only in Finland for like 5 days, like 4 days. Like, why are you sleeping?
I haven't gone on a trip for content creation in a very long time. I would say the last one was us going to Washington State together.
Those your old job, you go to events.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, when I was working for Iron Lion, I wouldn't get much sleep for those either, because although yes, that was for content creation, I actually wasn't doing a ton of editing. I was just working the event. And yeah, we would get home around like 11 or 12, and then I would get up at like 6 and then go and grind. But the big difference, like, yeah, it's like, oh, you're getting 6 hours of sleep, kind of like for you, but it's like, you know, at those events, I was on my feet all day, like filming and walking on like all day. They were like 20,000 step days, 25,000 step days. I was moving equipment around, moving boxes of stuff around. They're hard days, and so to get 6 hours of sleep, like that's exhausting. No, you're right.
No, yeah, that was a little different. And then we also went to England, so we flew from the U.S. to England and spent a full day. We like landed in the morning of England, and so then we had like a couple hours to go explore like Big Ben and go see Buckingham Palace and all that type of stuff. And my first European experience was Germany and Austria, which is so different than England, because Germany and Austria is like mega European and like no fast food, things like that. The UK is another America. I wasn't expecting it to be so American.
My favorite video from the trip, I don't know if you saved it, so I don't know if we could show it, but Johnathan is standing in front of Big Ben and he's doing it like selfie video recording, and he goes, "Hey Ben, it's you," and like turns and there's Big Ben. That was my favorite video from the trip.
Yeah, that was funny. And so we did a whole like day in the UK and then stayed the night in a really nice hotel and then flew out the next morning. I got very good. Well, first off, if you fly into London, bring a skateboard. The amount of walking in that airport is next level. And then it was a really cool experience. The UK. Then we flew to Finland. It took a whole day basically to fly from the UK into Finland. Like the map doesn't justify how big or how small certain areas are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the curvature of the map is all weird. I know what you mean by that. It doesn't, yeah, like you said, like it doesn't justify how like large things are.
Yeah. So like it took almost a full day to travel. Like it took a comfortable full day to travel to Finland, because we flew into Helsinki, so like, which is a very nice airport. So we flew from England around like 11 to Helsinki, and then had like a 3-hour layover, and then we land in Ruka, Finland at like, it was like 9 p.m. or something. So like that's like a full day of travel. Like your whole day just goes to traveling, and vice versa on the way back. So we had basically 2 full travel days on this trip. So yeah, like if you ever want to go ride in Finland, it's going to take a minute to get out there.
Knowing you, I assume that you slept the entire time from Colorado to England.
Yeah, I Colorado to England, I slept that entire flight. And so then we get there and I'm like, let's go do stuff. And then most of the people were like jet lagged. I'm like, I don't know. One dude just literally slept the entire first day. I was like we would go do an event. Like we did the London Eye, which is like a big Ferris wheel where you can see all of London. And it was like 45 euros or pounds or whatever to do it. And he just like lays down on the bench and sleeps the whole London Eye thing. I was like, come on, dude. He was younger, but I wasn't. Like jet lag and altitude sickness are like 2 things I don't believe in.
You don't believe in them, okay?
Yeah, I don't believe it. You gotta like be tougher.
So I know that this isn't the same as going to a whole new continent, like going to Europe. But no, I know what you mean by like jet lag, because there was a time. But when Kirsty and I went to go see family in the Midwest in March, like we were in where we live in Mountain Standard Time. Then we flew into Wisconsin, which is Central Time. And then we drive to Ohio, which is now Eastern Time. And then at the same time, it was when daylight savings happened and you lost an hour of sleep. So we jumped 4 time zones over like a 5-day period, but it was like we were like it wasn't like we jumped 4 time zones at once. It was like we we dealt with
just
4
kept
time
losing
zones.
hours of your day.
Yeah, it just kept losing hours. It was crazy. But like we just made it happen. We still just like woke up around the same time, went to bed maybe a little bit earlier on some of the days, but it's like we still made the most out of that trip to spend time with our family. So like I don't know, I know what you mean by like jet lag, and I'm sure you sleeping on that plane really helped you, but I know like knowing you would have been awake while you were in England, because the excitement of being there and getting to do stuff and traveling would have overcame your tiredness. Like you would be so much more interested in doing stuff than sleeping. So I know what you mean.
Absolutely. And then, I mean, like Finland was a 9-hour difference than being home. So you just, yeah, I mean, you got to flip your whole schedule, but it's not that bad if you're just not really sleeping at all anyways. Because then when you do go to bed, you're so tired. So then you'll sleep the 6 hours. Then you wake up and you're like, I'm still kind of tired, but I got to get going on my day.
Going back to what you said about altitude sickness, though, the only time I don't want to say I felt it, but there was an experience where I changed altitude and I felt very sick. It was 2 years ago for my birthday. I say my birthday, our birthday. Kirsty and I share birthdays. We went up to Pikes Peak. Kirsty insisted on driving, which I was like, okay, that's fine. Like she likes to drive, so she insisted on driving up Pikes Peak, which if you guys do not know, you can drive up Pikes Peak Mountain, or you can take a cog rail, which is like a little train to go up it. And you go from about 6,000 feet to 1,400, 14,000 feet. It's a big change in elevation. And when we got to the top, I felt very sick, but I don't think it was altitude sickness. I think it was maybe a little bit of altitude sickness combined with car sickness, motion sickness, because
so
it's a windy drive.
Sickness.
Yeah, dude, it's a windy drive going up there, and me not being the driver, me being the passenger. Oh yeah, I felt so sick when we got to the top.
I would vomit 100%. But because of the Finland trip, I was kind of solo. There were other people there, but they're all other influencers. And what I've learned the most about working with other influencers is everyone's got to get their own content. So everything I filmed was like in 360 or selfie. So I have so much reframing and work to do that I'm like dreading, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the 360 sounds extremely nice, but also extremely time consuming at the same time.
Yeah, it's like amazing for short form. Like, I just need to rip a 360 clip for a short. Easy peasy. I love it. And it captures really cool things like that. I don't know if you saw the clip of that skier that was going like 900 miles per hour down Schoolmarm and crashed and went and slid like 70 feet. And I went and yelled at him. I would have got him, captured him, super, like seeing him just straight lining Schoolmarm on the busiest Sunday of life if I didn't have a 360 camera. But when you're editing a vlog, and like me and Roman's first run down Schoolmarm was 18 minutes, it took me like 30-40 minutes to edit that like 360 clip, and then I got to put it in my editor and edit it after, so it's just very time consuming.
No, I did see that clip, and I don't know if you saw my text about it, but
you did text me a way to combine it with the yellow jacket. You say like, you snowboarder, yelling at me, or just explaining like like they're gonna pull passes of someone like me, but let this person get away with it.
For the listeners, I'll probably have the clip up as well. But for the listeners, yeah, there was a guy going down Schoolmarm. Schoolmarm is a learning run. This is the run that Johnathan got his pass pulled because he was going quote unquote too fast, which that's a whole controversial thing. It's a load of BS if you ask me. But anyways, so this run is for kids, it's for families, it's for people that are learning. It's a long run, which is not a good combination in my opinion. But what I'm getting at is, yeah, this guy is going so fast on skis and he has zero control, and all of a sudden just falls. And like Johnathan, I think you captioned it, I don't know if you said it in the video, but the guy falls like 70 feet after he falls. Like he slides down the mountain. No one should be going that fast and have such little control. But nothing is going to happen to this guy. Meanwhile, Johnathan gets his pass pulled for being a completely controlled snowboarder, just riding the run the way that it's not actually, I wouldn't say intended, but like you're able to ride the run that way. There's side jumps on the run for a reason and stuff like it. It's a whole can of worms.
Snowboarding's not a crime.
Snowboarding's not a crime, but it's a whole can of worms. But it's like, it's laughable that you got into so much trouble about that, and that guy like bombed down ski marm and literally could have wiped out. He could have wiped out like 10 people right there.
If he would have hit somebody, instead of like falling and sliding like he did, if he would have collided with someone instead, also depending on how big the human that he collided with, he could easily kill somebody. Like that's not a joke. Like that truly happens. He was going probably 55, if not 60 miles per hour on an insanely busy run.
I don't like ever thinking about that stuff, but no, it's a very real situation, and you have to be aware of those situations. But it's like, no, you have a responsibility on the mountain to be in control for that exact reason. You can cause serious damage to people. Not even just kill them, but you can just cause serious damage to people if you're just slightly out of control.
And I'm a true believer of like, accidents do happen. No one at fault collision or bump into like type situations are gonna happen. But there are avoidable ones, and that would be like that dude not skiing that way. And he probably was he didn't look like a full blown beginner after seeing but like watching that clip, he looked like he didn't know how to ski. But like that dude needs to be on the bunny hill, needs to be learning technique. He does not need to be out there that early in the season. Also, he needs to be going when the runs are less crowded so he can work on his technique. But I do believe as an ambassador of the mountain, like I truly believe I'm an ambassador of the sport of snowboarding and skiing and the mountain. Like I'm there every day. There are very few people that are as educated about the sports and the mountains as I am. Even employees don't have as much knowledge as I do because I've been doing it for 16 plus years. And so when someone is that out of line and threatened so many, I mean, he went literally right past me. He could have ended my career or my season, could have destroyed my son on top of all the other people around me. I felt very empowered to tell the dude, yo, you're doing this wrong and you need to slow down. And I did. I dadded him so hard.
That was like part of the video. You're like, I just dadded him so hard. No, I'm sure, especially having Roman literally right there with you. It's not even just like, what if Bristol was on the mountain? Like, no, your son was right there. Like that does make you feel probably a certain way, but no, it really is just like, you have a responsibility on the mountain, not you, but like you have a responsibility to be safe on the mountain. And yeah, if somebody is like, I was starting to hear this term, or not this term, but this phrase when I was renting cars, and I loved it. And it was basically like, if you keep letting people get away with stuff, they'll never learn. Like if you just keep letting them, cheat the system or get away with, not having the right credentials to get cars or whatever. Like if you keep letting them do it, they're never going to learn and they're just going to keep expecting it. So it's like, yeah, for that guy, it's like, if he just was like, oh, I fell, like, oopsies. But if you approach him and like, dude, you are out of control. This is not okay. You need to figure this, like, you need to make changes. Like you essentially confront him and be like, this isn't okay, dude. And if you didn't, maybe he would have just kept doing it,
Yeah. And it's one of those things, like, I'm not trying to be a Karen or what are the guys called? A Jeff or Steve?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Lucas?
I just know. You're just throwing names out at this point.
Just saying names. But once again, it's not, I'm not out there looking to educate people. But like you said, if no one tells them that, hey, what you're doing is slightly dangerous, this isn't appropriate, then they're going to keep doing it. So good example is 45-foot jumps, very large jumps. Dad's taking his little kids to roll over the knuckles, things like that. I understand the appeal. I understand why you guys want to try and do this, but hey, just so you know, this is extremely dangerous. And you're making it to where the people that are actually here trying to ride these things, you're making it to where they can't, or they can't do it with confidence because you guys are trying to go up the cheese wedges and not making it. But also like those skiers that like send the wedges and land like 10 feet short, like, and then they like double eject and face plant. Like, I'm also trying to help you not get hurt. And so I don't think it's appropriate to yell like, get off the jumps, get out of the park. You're not supposed to be here. Like, don't be a jerk. Like, approach, educate, and hopefully that person will learn like, oh, like, yeah, I want to bring the kids in the park, but take them to the kids park. Don't take them to the pro park where someone's going to get hurt.
That was a big thing that I struggled with when I was a regular snowboarder or I should say regular snowboarder, but like when I was a local living up there and dealing with, like it was always those dad skiers just going through with their kids. And it's like, this is incredibly unsafe for your kids and for the other people in the terrain park. And like, I don't know, some people are just so oblivious to what's going on. And I understand, like I saw this video that I thought it was a very good perspective. It was one of those like Instagram reels or TikTok shorts or whatever. I don't remember what it was, but anyways, the point is it was this guy doing kind of like a candid interview, just with like a college student, for like his, that was the style of video. And all of a sudden another student like walks in front of the camera while they're filming and just like keeps going. And the guy, the influencer was like, what? Like, what did that just happen? And the other college student was like, I don't know, man. Like, to be honest, he's probably just in his own little world. And we're all like that. Right now you're in your own little world thinking that, that was unacceptable. But to him, he's just trying to go from point A to point B. And like, who's to say that he's wrong? He's just doing his thing and you're just doing your thing. And like, it is what it is. It's okay. We can move past that. And it was just like a different perspective. And I was like, that's really appreciative. And it's like, well, Ben, why don't you have that perspective about these people in this terrain park? Being on a mountain is not the place to have that perspective because it's like, once again, you can you could damage other people. You could potentially put somebody in a risk of getting injured or worse, dying. And you could be putting your own kids in that. So it's like, no, you shouldn't have that perspective of like, oh, I'm just in my own little world doing my own little thing. Like, no, you have to be aware of what is happening around you.
I don't think people are aware of how dangerous the sport actually is.
No, they don't.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, and because like ski resorts definitely do their due diligence to quiet the noise of a skier death. But like there's like 10 plus deaths a season on just the Colorado ski resorts alone. Whether it's people having a heart attack and just dying or falling into tree wells and suffocating or smashing into trees because they're out of control and don't know how to stop. Like, people die. It's not like, oh, like every couple of years someone died. No, it's like, no, people die skiing and snowboarding incorrectly.
I feel like the most common deaths you hear about are backcountry ones, which are still avalanches. Very serious. Avalanches, yeah. And I feel like those are more common deaths, the backcountry ones, but it also may be because fake news, you hear about that stuff more because it's talked about more, that type of stuff. But no, yeah, deaths happen.
The backcountry ones are talked about more because they're trying to deter people from going out there, which in a way is the right way to go about it. Because once again, we really don't want people just wandering in the backcountry, climbing to the top of these mountains and trying to go down them. Because especially in like a state like Colorado, like for 3 of the months of the year, like it's not if it's going to be an avalanche. It's no, it will 100% avalanche on you. It's just Colorado's got a very unstable snowpack. So for the safety of all of the Colorado rescue people, because if someone goes out there and buries himself in an avalanche or like does something dumb, like we do, like as a society, we're going to go help that person, like you want that. You want to know, like, if you're going on a hike and things hit the fan, like, people are going to come and be willing to come help you. But if we made this backcountry thing so accessible and like, oh, like, you got nothing to worry about, just go do it. That's not a good thing. Does that make sense? Because it does take years of knowledge to get, like, I'm still very ignorant in the backcountry, and I've been going out there for years now.
So I know what you're saying. I think it's important for what they're doing, or at least trying to do, but I don't think that it's the right approach of the news. I think this is a major problem that we have in the news, which we're not going to dive into it, although last time we talked about the election day. So with that being said, congratulations to Donald Trump on being president-elect, right? But
when I went to Finland, we left on election day. And like, we get in the cab to go, like, we land in England, we get in the cab, and it's like a 6-person backseat cab. Like, it was like crazy tight and everything. And the first thing that some of the people were like, oh, the election just happened, we should look. And they were not very happy with the result. And the cab was a little unique on its way to the airport, or to the hotel. Just put it that way.
With election day, it's same thing happened in 2016 as it did with Trump being elected in 2024, where a lot of people are losing their mind on the internet. But what I think that the problem with that is, what's sparking this like meltdown that people are having, is that the media, not social media, or some of social media, but mostly the media, the legacy media that Johnathan and I talk so much about.
Well, media is now on social media. So like NBC, CBS, CNN, Fox News, like, they're all posting their TV shows onto social media now. So essentially everyone believed it was like a neck and neck race, and all the pollsters, everyone was saying like, oh, like, this is the closest election we've ever had. This is going to be the closest election we ever had. And then it's a complete blowout. Of course people are going to be pissed. It's like, why can't we just know the truth? Like, on any side, whether you wanted Kamala or Trump, why are we getting gaslit so freaking hard?
I think it's just people. So what I've been trying to get at this whole time is, I think that news reporting on fear is wrong, right? So going back to this avalanche situation, like, yes, they should be educating people that it's not safe for you to go do backcountry, especially if you're not trained. It's not safe for even you, bro, to go do it, even though you are trained, because that's just the reality. It is the most dangerous version of snowboarding and skiing, and that's what makes it so fun. That's what makes it so unique.
Well, what you learn when you start doing backcountry is literally, it's like, oh, it's never truly safe. Like, you don't ever have these like, oh, it's 100% safe when I do this line. It's, no, here's the situation. What risk am I willing to take? It could be way risky. It could be not so risky, but at the end of the day, you're always taking some level of risk. And so what's your risk tolerance when it comes to backcountry skiing and snowboarding?
Exactly. And so selling it based off of fear of like, people are dying backcountry, like, I don't think that that's the appropriate approach, because that's not going to stop people. It clearly hasn't. People are still doing it. But the reality is like, hey, if you're going to go backcountry skiing, just know that you're never safe. Even the most trained professionals are not safe, and you should take courses to go on that approach, right? So I don't think that doing news reports based off of fear is the appropriate thing, and that's exactly what happened with the election, is that so many people are afraid of what's going to happen, and it's not even true what's going to happen and all this stuff. So anyways, no, I was on Twitter a lot, because I do believe that Twitter is the place to get information, because they're fact checking and they're doing all that stuff. So it's a sad world we live in at the moment.
I'm excited though. I'm excited for some change. I'm excited for Elon Musk and Ramaswamy. I like that dude, just period in general. But also like RFK, we've talked a lot about on this podcast about health and how unhealthy our food is. And as you and me both and our families have dove into getting healthier and understanding that our food is so bad for us here in America. Even in like the UK, I said it was like very American. It's still better. Like the food was still better for you than here in America. And so to have these like some really good changes for that stuff, I'm excited for that. If you were voting for Kamala, I'm sorry that what you were excited about isn't going to happen, but it's the best part about America and what I've learned in my short 33 years here on this planet is that it ebbs and flows. I think the United States will go, recently it's been going more right, where it's like, hey, we want economy to be fixed, we want things to be better. And then it's going to flow back to where it's like, okay, we want human rights and women's rights and people of color rights. And that's going to flow back to like, no, we got to focus on business and correcting these policies that are incorrect. And it's just going to ebb and flow and bounce back and forth. And I think that's what makes America great.
For this RFK stuff. No, I'm really curious on how it's going to go. I'm really hopeful. I think it's going to take many, many years to change everything when it comes to politics and government. It doesn't change overnight. It takes years, if not decades, to see these changes happen. And one thing that RFK is pushing is, and what Johnathan was referring to, is we've done the Whole30 diet, which is focused on eating whole foods that don't have any added things to them. They're all essentially authentic, real foods, right? Your meats, vegetables, fruits, nothing added to it, stuff that us humans are not supposed to consume. No lactose, no milk, no dairy, that type of stuff. Anyways, I think that RFK is really pushing that. He's like, there's a lot of just crap in our food, and the fact that America allowed that is disgusting, and that's what other countries don't allow. So I'm really excited to see that transition. It's going to take a long time, especially for these companies to adapt and change and follow the guidelines that will be set. But no, it's funny because I saw some people in the video game community and the Halo community tweeting about it, talking about, they're like, when I go to Europe and eat, like when I eat food in Europe, I just felt so healthy. Like it's so lame that like America's not like that. And I agree with them. They're not wrong, but it's like, you can be like that. You could eat like that in America. It costs a little bit more and it's a little bit more difficult, but you can do it. Like, it's not like you're stuck in America, so you have to eat crap.
Definitely harder when you travel, especially if you're in an airport all day. The healthier food is so much harder to get and access and expensive. Unless you're in European airports, because then there's healthy food everywhere. But you know what did change overnight, bro? After the election?
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, baby! Oh, I'm rich!
No, that it's funny. I don't have any Bitcoin at the moment, but no, it's gonna drop down, and I thought about it. I was like, it's gonna drop down, and then literally the next moment on my phone, it was like, it's down 10%, and I was like, yep.
I want it to hit like 100K, and then I'll pull a little bit of profit out. But yeah, dude, Bitcoin's doing well. Another thing I was introduced on this Finland trip, by the way, is airport lounges. Pretty legit.
I've been curious about them.
You got to get like a credit card that's like an annual fee of like $500-$600. But if you travel enough, like we would go stay in these airport, because half the people had airport lounges. So, and you could bring a guest, up to 2 guests. Or if you have if you're a family, it's like a guest and then all kids are free. So we'd go to these airport lounges, you go in there, they'd have like beer on tap and liquor everywhere. So you could drink as much as you wanted for free. Food out the wazoo, like buffet style food. And so when you think about it, man, airport food's so expensive, but then you go to these lounges, it's like really nice food also. It's like cooked food. It's not like highly processed fast food. It's completely free, other than your yearly membership fee or whatever. But then like with those credit cards, you're not only getting the airport lounges, you're getting other perks like travel insurance, things like that. And I was just like, dang, like my eyes have been opened to the airport lounges.
Now, credit cards, in the right hands, are amazing. If you guys ever are, if you
In
guys,
the left hands, they're not very. You always use your right
Okay.
hand. Swipe.
Best advice: use your right hand, not your left. No. So in the correct hands, credit cards are an amazing tool that can propel you in life. They can, especially if you're a traveler. If you travel a ton, credit cards have a ton of benefits for travelers because that's when most people use credit cards. But if you guys know anything about like Dave Ramsey is a financial advisor on the internet, and he's changed a lot of people's lives. And what Dave Ramsey has to say is phenomenal information. It really is for the right people. If you struggle financially, if you struggle with debt, if you struggle with credit cards, listen to Dave Ramsey. He will give you the best advice in your life. And if you really do listen to him, he will change your life. But he swears on no credit cards, no credit cards, no credit cards.
No debt at all.
No. He swears on no debt at all, but he swears on do not have credit cards. Like he himself is like, I don't have credit cards. It's like, that's a lie, Dave, because you can't rent a car without a credit card. Like you have to have credit cards. Credit cards are extremely important in life for a lot of reasons, especially like, he's at a point in his life where if an emergency thing happened, he's got millions of dollars that he can take care of himself with. But for your average person, like for Kirsty and I, randomly, Kirsty's car had a $2,600 issue with it. Yeah, we put that on a credit card because it was just like, all right, that just happened. Let's put it on a credit card and then we'll figure it out from there. Like we're fine, but it's more so like for your average person, and especially with the economy we live in now, credit cards can be beneficial. Like you need a credit card for like those just in case moments, or if you're traveling and like your bank freezes up because you're traveling and they didn't know, credit card. Like there's reasons to have credit cards. So,
or like, I'm a big fan of zero interest time frames. So when I needed to buy two $5,000 laptops for me and Cody to edit videos and level up my business, and I had 2 years of 0% interest to pay those off. Heck yeah, I borrowed $10,000 for free.
You still have one of those laptops?
I do. No, seriously, I have one for sale. I winked at the camera.
Slide into Jonathan's DMs if you want to get a computer. No, I'm wanting a laptop, particularly a Mac, just so I can like edit the podcast in the living room, like with Kirsty. But instead, I've got to be in my office. So it is what it is. But that's like,
let's talk about it.
I do.
Let's talk about it. I mean, technically, Bobby needs it to fulfill sticker orders for me, but I can set up a different computer for her if the price is right.
It's a crazy world we live in, but no, credit cards, there are a lot of really cool benefits for them. I remember when I was renting cars, some people's credit cards would insure vehicles for you, like your rentals. So if you were renting the vehicle with that credit card, you wouldn't have to get the insurance on it. Now, with that being said, it doesn't cover like everything completely. And there's a lot of like, I would still recommend getting the insurance on the rental car, but to each their own type of thing. But no,
I don't ever do it. I'm just like, oh, I'll use my own insurance, and I don't think I have on my own insurance rental.
So my only recommendation for you, bro, is it's a hassle-free type of experience, and if you're gonna be able to, you should be able to write it off anyways as a tax write-off, but like. Genuinely, anything happens, bro. Anything happens where like, oh, somebody opened their car door into yours and dinged it, and then like left, right? Like quote unquote hit and run, but it's just as small as that. If anything happens like that, you've got the insurance on the rental car. You just hand in the keys and walk away. There's no like sign here, do this, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, hey, somebody hit me, and like it is what it is. But I got the insurance. Like you're good to go. And like that's that. Or even if you hit somebody, if you are like, hey, I backed into a pole, sorry, here's your keys, you're good to go. So for purely like,
nothing parties like a rental.
Purely for like headache reasons, especially the type of traveling that you do, as in like you're traveling during the winter in snowy conditions, like anything could happen. So in those types of situations, I would recommend Yeah, I just recommend it.
Not a bad idea. I didn't get to really watch football, which worked out because it was the Packers bye week. But that was a bummer being in Finland. Was missing football.
Yeah, it's okay. We haven't talked about it, but after the Lions loss, I was not. Any loss is not fun, but
that loss didn't bug me. We're Packer fans, by the way, guys. But it didn't bug me because Jordan Love's injured. We are also missing 2 of our major defensive players. So
I just hated the loss because, like, I don't know, I hate losing, but no, I struggle because it's like Jordan Love has thrown 2 awful pick sixes in 2 games, and we're literally in our end zone or on like our 10-yard line, and he goes to just get rid of the ball and he throws a pick six. It's the worst thing in the world, especially coming from, we had Aaron Rodgers for so long, and so pick sixes never happened. Interceptions almost never happened. So to have Jordan Love throwing these, it's difficult.
Yeah, but I think it's time that he's going to lock down now, just like he did last year. It's time. We about to run the table into the playoffs. It's going to be good.
Did you see all the crazy wins? Like, did you hear about the crazy wins, such as
the Chiefs blocking,
the Chiefs winning off of a blocked field goal? Then the Lions won with 5 interceptions, and they lost on possession of ball time and all that stuff. They went into the quarter down 23-7. They had 5 interceptions and they still won. Like, what the Vikings were 0 for 5 in the red zone and won. Like, the wins that happened this weekend, they statistically should not have happened.
That's the thing, is like I saw this stuff, but I didn't actually get to watch it, which is kind of a bummer because Sunday's always like me and Bobby's football day. But which, not this Sunday, but next Sunday we're doing like a Thanksgiving, like a family Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we got a busy one. Ooh, should we do an in-person podcast?
I think we're just coming down for the day, so I don't think it's gonna be possible.
That's fine.
But we do need to do another in-person podcast.
We do. With the holidays coming up, maybe we can try to figure something out. You know, nobody cares, work harder, no sleep. Sleep is for the week type of deal. We'll just have to figure something out. No, I'm joking. But I think this was a great podcast, bro.
I will say, before we wrap this thing up, I don't know what it's like to travel into America, but traveling other countries and you're like giving your passport and they're like, what are you doing? How many people are you with? How many days are you going to be here? Why are you here? And, you know, like, you have to answer all these questions. It's one of the most nerve-wracking experiences. I don't know if anyone else feels that way. Maybe I haven't traveled to enough other countries. But as an American citizen, when you come back to America, it's pretty chill. Other than we did actually get the whole snowboard team had to go through like extra screening, which was kind of a little nerve wracking. But at the end of the day, yeah, that's unique. Let me know in the comments if you've traveled to America and if it's like very nerve wracking going through our customs and all that type of stuff.
Bro, it's America. They just let you right in. I'm joking. That was
depends on which direction you're coming from.
But no, that's fine. I'm not looking forward to that day. I know my anxiety will be through the roof on that day. But yeah, I'm happy that you made it to Finland okay. I'm happy that you made it back to home okay. But yeah, that's all good information. Thank you guys for liking, commenting, subscribing. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for doing your things. Thank you guys for being a part of the conversation. Yeah, got anything else to say, bro?
No, like, subscribe. Who's going to win this weekend? And as always, thanks for watching. Keep evolving.
And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.